Hey everybody, I think I'm live. This is kind of a dumb, it's actually kind of a dumb live stream idea. My kids just left the house and I decided that I was looking around at the news and I really didn't see anything that interesting in the news. So I decided that I would do a live stream from my bedroom. So that's the sound quality actually might be good in here because it's carpet. And what you're looking at is my bedroom dresser. And so it's a very random Friday afternoon thing that I'm doing here, but I just decided I would go live and why not? I'll probably just stay live for 30 minutes or so. But the kids were out of the house, so I decided that why not? So anything you guys want to talk about today, I am here. Nice dresser. Yeah, this is called the dresser stream. Hey, from San Diego, Pam Sema, Lonely Dresser. Yeah, it was the only angle that I could find in my bedroom that just seemed kind of unassuming, no big deal. Who cares? Everybody's got a. There's Brady Nields. How are you? Um, Questions for newbie, please. You might hear some thunder in the thank you, Stack and Zerps Greg Kidd interview. Yeah, the Greg Kidd interview, that that happened, and those guys from Linqto were very nice to me, and they asked me if I wanted to interview him. I never asked anybody to interview Greg Kidd. They just asked me, and according to these guys, Greg Kidd really enjoyed the interview. I think he realized that the digital asset investor was a little bit of a kidder and was I think Greg, to be honest, I think Greg Kidd was kind of I think he's such a smart guy that I think that he was kind of glad to get some challenging questions. I don't think a lot of these people have ever gotten a lot of questions that really put them on the spot. But remember, Greg Kidd is, let me list his degrees. Greg Kidd went to Brown University, Ivy League. He went to Harvard University, Ivy League. He went to Yale, Ivy League. So to say that it was a little bit intimidating to be, I went to Auburn University, so which I've been on the campus of Harvard University, and Auburn University's campus is 10 times nicer, but we just don't place quite the emphasis on education like Harvard does. But we do have a good football team usually. So that was kind of interesting. But anyway, so I just thought I'd do the stream today. Just to, if anything interesting comes across, I'll try to answer it. But the truth of the matter is, I did my first video this morning, and I got a copyright strike on that because I think about XLM. I own some XLM. I like XLM. But anyway, so let me see here. I do have some XLM. That's the answer to the question. There's a lot of people that really liked. I don't know anything about XDCE. I have been seeing that on Twitter a bit, but I don't really. And I do like Hedera hash graph. I don't have any right now, but I do plan on getting some if I'm able to get some in the window of time. Do you hear the thunder? It's thundering outside. I should have brought some water into this room because I'm thirsty now. Good afternoon. 1,000 times is amazing, and nobody 99.9% don't see it. I agree with you, Ivo the V. How about Cardano? Cardano, yes, I like Cardano as well. And I also, I don't like to buy things when they've gone up 50%. I think Cardano's gone up. I like VeChain too. I do own some VeChain. Actually, in the last week, I owned some VeChain. Cardano, I do like, but I don't like to buy any digital asset or anything else when it's gone up 50% in like a week. Has it gone up 50% in like a week? I think it has. New to crypto and XRP, bought on Bitstamp. Good. Yes, Bitstamp is great. Now, Bitstamp is in Europe, is my understanding, and I used to have my digital assets on Bitstamp, but it's an excellent exchange and it's legit. But it's over in Europe, and for that. I use Coinbase because it's in the US where I am. But if I was in Europe, I would use Bitstamp all the time. When is that XRP going to decouple from Bitcoin? Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? You know, look, when utility finally does kick in, then it'll do it. That's just the way. I mean, it will. I don't do anything with Ethereum Classic. Do you think Polysign could ever provide accounts for on-demand liquidity providers? I think there's no telling what Polysign will do, but I think that they're going to do something interesting. Polysign, you know, don't be one thing, and I think Brad Combs has talked about this before, but don't be surprised if Polysign does not have something to do with holding some of that XRP escrow at some point. Yes, WP, I've used Uphold. Uphold is a great exchange. In fact, Greg Kidd is one of the major, I think that's one of his largest investments. Uphold is one of his largest investments. And so this guy is not a guy that he doesn't lose very often. And so I think it's a pretty good place to be on the side of what Greg Kidd is investing in, whether that's using an exchange or investing in XRP, which he has. And this is something that crypto Twitter, XRP community and all completely missed about that Greg Kidd interview. And you talking about people missing something. This guy told us, Greg Kidd told me that he has optioned 1% of all the XRP. 1%. Now, what do you think a guy who's a billionaire, why do you think he would think that he needed to option 1% of the entire supply? Go figure. Go figure. Figure that one. Riddle me that if you like riddles. Well, that's a very obvious thing in my mind. In fact, I got off the phone with someone today. Let me tell you another one that I can't quite figure out, and that is, if you're someone, well, I'm not going to go there, but my gut tells me that there are some people that would rather have the XRP even than the equity. I'm one of those people. If you put the equity of Ripple in front of me, right beside same dollar amount of XRP in front of me, I'm taking the XRP every time, because I think we're in a paradigm shift of where the world is going, and I believe that the XRP potential is limitless, not limitless, but it is crazy potential compared to any, not just Ripple stock, but any stock. Have you ever, and people need to ask themselves this. We saw Cardano, that's a digital asset. It went up, I believe it went up as much as 50% in a week. When's the last time you saw that happen with any stock? I mean, this isn't just Ripple. When's the last time you saw any stock go up 50% in a week? This happens in digital asset land, but it doesn't happen in equity land. That's what I believe is part of what this new system is. We are rolling into, it's because it's a younger asset class. Yes, it's riskier, but the returns that are possible are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, as I said in the Greg Kidd interview, compared to what you see in traditional investments. And so, you know, when you only have, I mean, what have we had, about $150 billion or I can't even remember. I think we're at around $175 billion right now. Total, $175 billion in a new asset class. Just think about that for a minute. Things move a lot faster when you're adding a few billion to something that's only got 175 billion in it. Okay. You know what I might do? I need to go. Y'all stay right here because I'm getting up. I'm trying to keep this camera from moving, and I'm going to get me some water. 1 second. I'm in my bathroom now. Okay. The sound quality in here, you know, when I move, I'm going to get I'm going to get some of that soundproofing for my next office. I'm going to get some soundproofing, but for now, I've got in my office it's wood paneled, and that's why I sound like I'm in a tin can. And it's when you hear my videos, normally the sound quality, that's the story of my life, but that's why the sound quality is not all that good, because I'm literally in an office with wood paneling, and so not the best. No, I'm not low key taking a dump. But I am just sitting here in my bedroom. This is called the dresser stream. I said that at the beginning. Let's see here. Do you think Western Union has quietly taken over MoneyGram free money transfers? Well, I don't think that, two things. I don't think Western Union would want to take over MoneyGram unless they wanted to use XRP. And the truth is, I believe that Ripple was in the pole position on that anyway. I need a blue, I had a Blue Yeti, Paul, and the Blue Yeti sound quality was not as good, did not work as well as the sound quality of my little AirPod. What are those things called? AirPods, the Apple wireless things. The sound quality of those has been better for me than the Yeti. The Yeti, maybe I just didn't know what I was doing with the settings, but I just could never get the thing to do right. But I'm thanks to you guys, I'm approaching 70,000 subscribers, and this literally all happened from my being in the backyard mowing the lawn, and here I sit, and all of a sudden, and in fact, for those of you that don't know, the first thing that I said to Brad Garlinghouse when I met him, and by the way, you should all hit that thumbs up button if you don't mind. That'd be cool. I think that's what I'm supposed to tell you on these live streams. But the first thing I ever said to Brad Garlinghouse is I shook his hand and I said to him, did you ever think that you would have some redneck in Georgia talking about your company and your digital asset, that's XRP? Did you ever think that that's where this would go? And his response to me was that he said, hey man, I'm from Kansas. And I said, yeah, but you're Brad Garlinghouse. I can't make fun of that. So these live streams, the reason that I always do the live streams with my phone is because it's so much easier to stream with the phone. You just push a few buttons and you're going. But with the computer, with my Windows PC, it's a nightmare. You gotta have some software and link this and link that, and it's a lot more complicated. These Apple products are just so much better. 1% of his salary he was drawing from Ripple, but not 1% of all the XRP supply. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, he said he optioned 1% of the currency, the entire currency, the 100 billion XRP. He said he optioned 1% of it, which means option to buy at some sort. I should have asked him which, what his strike price was and all the details of that, but I'm sure. Whoa, JR Rivas, hey, greetings from Texas. I watch most, if not all, your videos. Many thanks. How do you recommend vote? I'm gonna get here. Let me see if I can pull that up. This may be a little shaky. I don't even know what to do, but let me see if I can pull up your little thing you just did. I can't. I'm trying to push that, but you asked me a question about a link to it. I'll go back to that question and I'll try to get in touch with you if I'm able to do that, and I'll answer it in the next video or on Twitter. Let me know on that now. But I think you were asking about Linqto, but for those of you that don't know, the Linqto is the platform that. And here's what a lot of people don't know. I'm going to tell you guys something in this stream today that a lot of people in the XRP community don't understand about Linqto. You need to understand, Linqto is a platform, and this is how I ended up doing the Greg Kidd interview. Linqto is a platform. Greg Kidd is the largest investor in Linqto. Okay, Linqto is a platform where they've set up these things that are called SPVs, so so that it gives investors a way to have access to be able to invest in what's almost like a share of stock. The only thing it is, my understanding is that it doesn't carry the voting rights of like shares of stock do. That's the only thing. You have all of other rights of ownership besides the voting rights. And so, which drove you hiding it. But what a lot of people in the XRP community don't understand about Linqto is that none of those sales happen without communication from the company whose stock it is. In other words, Ripple's involved. Ripple, those shares are not sold on Linqto unless Ripple knows they're being sold. So and who knows what the why is and all that, but all of those companies, Coinbase, Ripple, all those different companies where their shares are being sold on Linqto, my understanding is the shares are offered, they have to be, I can't remember exactly how it works, but they have to be communicated with. In other words, Ripple has to approve, okay, you're allowed to sell this stock. And then these guys have to buy it from somebody, and then they can sell it on the Linqto platform. So that's how that works. But the overall point there is that Ripple knows about it. Ripple has to be involved in order for them to do it. And in fact, in the call in July, I'm going to be on one of their calls, and one of the people from Ripple is supposed to be on there, but I don't want to say any names because I don't know if it's official or not. But someone from Ripple is supposed to be there, is what I heard. So anyway, pretty darn cool. So any questions you have? And by the way, I see 355 people in here and I only see 123 thumbs up. That doesn't match up. It should match up. Those two numbers should be closer together than that, right? Please hit that thumbs up on here. That is supposed to help these videos. I don't really know how all this works, but supposed to help. Judy Shelton, what's going on with Judy Shelton? I haven't heard an update on that, Anthony, recently. Still first thumbs up. Ooh, it's going fast here. Occurring, guys. Hi. From Boston. I love Boston. I took my kids up there we watched a Boston Red Sox game. We sat on the big green wall. Next time I go there, I'm going to watch a game from the green wall, and I hope somebody can hit one up over it. Hey, Kojo, XRP 69, Basquaman 1, Mr. Pasquale 31, Montreal, Canada. I went to Montreal as a kid. Haven't been to Canada in quite a long time. I'm hiding again. XLM compared to XRP. Let me tell you what I like about XLM. Here, and many of you may not know this. He's asking me about XLM. This is why I own some XLM. All right, remember, stellar.org, when Jed McCaleb helped, he was supposedly the founder of Ripple, okay? He and Chris Larson, some of those guys had some disagreements. Jed McCaleb leaves and creates Stellar. That's stellar.org. Well, fast forward a few years, and then what happened is a company was created called Interstellar. And Interstellar hired, like a year or two ago, I think, hired a guy who is he was the guy that founded a company called Zelle. Look Zelle up. Zelle, if you go, I have a Bank of America account. If you go to Bank of America or any of these major banks, Zelle is the company that they use for their money transfers. It's like a software. And the guy who created it was hired at Interstellar, and then Jed McCaleb became the CEO of Interstellar. They are also partnered with IBM. These are the core reasons that I'm interested in Stellar, because Stellar, I believe, is in the game. Okay, it's basically the same. It's the same creation as XRP. I mean, it's more or less the same technology. Now, I'm no tech guy, but based on my reading of everything, that's the gist of it. Now, do I think stellar. Look, here's what I've learned in life, folks. Um, with it's not just your technology. It's not just your how smart you are. If you don't have the contacts and connections, and the money people behind you to make it happen, your tech and how smart you are doesn't mean anything. That's why XRP, I always say XRP is the one, is because you don't have to look around for long to see very, very clearly. And you could see this in the questions I was asking Greg Kidd. You don't have to look around very long to understand. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was from the beginning, or I don't know if it was because Chris Larson was the guy that was put there. I don't know why, but XRP and Ripple are the ones that were chosen to get their feet in the door and to be in the room with 50 plus central banks, and to be in the room with the IMF, and to have you know, Saudi royalty in talking to them, and to be able to work their way into India and Saudi Arabia and have offices all around the world. For some reason, Ripple was chosen to be that one. They were handed the red phone, and they were able to make those phone calls or have someone make those phone calls to get in those rooms on their behalf. So that is a great question that I should have asked Greg Kidd, is who was at the poker game? Yes, before it's over, I'm gonna find out that answer from Greg Kidd. And in fact, any questions that you guys have, that if I ever get a chance again to talk to somebody like that, questions like that are awesome. See, a lot of people think, like when I talked to Greg Kidd the other day, a lot of people think that you're supposed to have interviews like that, and you're supposed to throw all these softball questions and all that. Well, I don't believe in softball. Look, I tell it like it is. That's how I've always been. And the truth is, you know what? I believe that people want you to ask them the interesting questions. I think these guys are bored as they can be, especially guys like David Schwartz. These guys are bored to tears with towing the same old line. They would love to be able to sit down and talk to you about what the real deal is. And that's the way I approached Greg Kidd. And to be honest, I think the guy thought it was funny. I think that I think it was kind of refreshing for him to get some challenging questions. The guy is literally a genius. I mean, I think you could tell that. But I think it was refreshing for him to get some questions that are more like, okay, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty of this thing. And I think that you could kind of tell it. I thought that he was a great. Thank you, Hale Brazetti. I'm sure I butchered your name, and I'm sorry. For the €5 is what that is. Does market cap really matter? Look, in the scheme of things, folks. Look, if we're all right about this thing, coin market cap doesn't mean anything. None of the things that we look at when you wake up every day, or you roll over in bed, like even I do sometimes, and you're looking at coin market cap and like, oh no, the market's not doing anything again today. Look, if you really have been paying attention to what this is, and if you've really been around watching all of this unfold, and like I said in the interview, Ripple is Exxon, XRP is the oil. Greg Kidd did not disagree with that. In fact, he did agree with it. XRP is the oil. You can't both. And in fact, I heard a comparison as well to Ripple being is like owning the mining company, and then XRP is like owning the gold. And so, and that's the way I look at it. And I think that one mistake a lot of people have made in their underestimation of what Ripple really is, I think they have assumed that Ripple and XRP are two separate things. But as you heard in my interview, there was a thing where Stefan Thomas, it was a quote from Stefan Thomas, where he said the product is the bridge asset. And I believe it's always been the XRP. It's always been a crucial part of the whole picture. And so, yeah, it's not two separate things. It's like Navi and Gupta said, Ripple's either going to put a dent in the universe, which means XRP is going to put a dent in the universe, or it's going to go away. And I don't think it's going away at this point. Man, it is raining again out there. Why would they let us have it? You know, I've had that same conversation. In fact, who did I ask that to? Why did they? I asked someone. I think somebody asked David Schwartz that at some point. Why do they let us have it? And to be honest, I don't remember the answer to that. But what in my conversations behind the scenes with different people who are smart, the answer to the why did they let us have it is that they needed, in the course of the last few years, as Ripple has been selling this idea to the world, they needed to have the sandbox. And we are the sandbox. We are the rats on the wheel, so to speak. And that they needed this to be tested live, and they needed XRP to be out there and for people to be out here sending it around, and all the things we've been doing, whether it's hoarding it or sending it here or selling it into this. They needed us to be those guinea pigs. They needed this sandbox time period so that when they're meeting with a Saudi Arabia or a whoever, to let them say, yeah, get all your hackers and go at it, try to take it down. That's the way that it's been explained to me, and that makes sense. Or if you let's say that there are let's say that there are let's say that there's a country that's considering using RippleNet and whatever, employing XRP as well for on-demand liquidity. Well, do you think that country's going to do that, or do you think they're going to say, like, this is a big deal right here. Before we do anything like this, we're gonna be testing, piloting, and then at the same time, you think the whole financial system is going to change without all these countries of the world putting their hackers to work? So is this distributed ledger technology thing for real, or let's try to take it apart, take it down, make the network go down? You think that would have happened? Of course it would. You would have to have we guinea pigs for that, I would think, to be out here testing it. We are going to lose our life with Ripple. I don't believe so. Why isn't anyone talking about the IMS XDR using pay send? I haven't heard about pay send. I did hear something about the XDR, but I didn't hear anything about pay send. Thank you. You're such a handsome man. In my younger days, yeah. I ought to show you guys. In my younger days. I'm going to live vicariously through my 14-year-old. My 14-year-old is finally starting to really hit his growth spurt, and he's starting to turn into a little man. And in fact, his hands are now bigger than mine. His feet are the same size as mine. This guy's going to be a real big guy because his father. I'm 6 foot. Well, I was 6'3". I think I've shrunk to about 6'2". But my son's grandfather was about 6'4" and played football at Mississippi State, and he's a monster, like hands twice the size of mine. Just a big man, like a big guy. And my son looks just like him, so I think we might have a big poppy on our hands as far as baseball, with all the baseball training I've put this kid through. So should be very interesting as he goes into high school here. You might start hearing some stories from me about where we're going there. Might get interesting. Did you watch the World Economic Forum speech? I didn't watch the speech. I did watch they have a promo for the Great Reset. Now look, those thumbs up are not matching the number of people in here. We got 464 people in here, only 221 thumbs up. That is just not right. It needs to be more like closer to even here. Thank you for all of the likes there. I appreciate it. I hope, did you get a feel from Greg Kidd about his confidence level about XRP? Well, here's what I got from Greg Kidd. His confidence level about XRP is, now look, everybody has to understand, and before we get to that, let's, the feedback from the angel investors is that after the video has been seen 28,000 times. They sold out the SPVs in the after my video, and they sold out the SPVs the first time. And I wasn't even technically selling. I wasn't selling, and those guys aren't paying me anything like that. But they sold out the first time I did a video a couple of weeks ago, and then they sold out after the interview yesterday. I was just doing it to interview Greg Kidd. But back to, here's the thing that see, I saw some people that were trying to say that what he said, I asked him on a scale from 1 to 10, how close are they to taking over Swift? And he said a 2 or a 3, I believe is what he said. Well, think about that for a minute. People are looking at that as negative. Well, what do you expect? Do you expect him to say, "Oh, yeah, we're taking this over. We're almost there. They're almost destroyed. 9." Did anybody? First of all, did anybody expect that? I certainly didn't. But the second thing is, think about what that means. Take over Swift. What Jay Hyatt is saying right there, exactly. You just took the words out of my mouth. You're 20 to 30% of taking over Swift. Are you kidding me? That's like, who even says that? That's what I was thinking, is two or three taking over Swift, really? I mean, that's pretty bold. And he's trying to be Greg Kidd was trying to be as measured as anybody can be, and of course he would. Of course he would. I couldn't believe that he was saying that he was willing to answer some of the questions that he was willing to answer. That was what blew my mind. But and this is the other thing I told people. I think I said it in my video earlier today, is that Greg Kidd, I did a pre-interview with him. I did a Zoom call with him before the interview because I wanted to ask him one simple thing, because I did not want to offend Greg Kidd or make anybody mad having to do with Rip or anything. So I asked him and the CEO and the CFO of Linqto, are there any questions that are off limits in my interview? And I asked them not one time, not 2 times, but 3 times, and all the times they said, no, you ask whatever you want. And that, to me, is pretty cool that they wanted to be that be that open about everything. And so once they told me that, I was like, I'm going full throttle. I'm going to ask everything that I can think of. And so I narrowed it down to 11 or 12 questions, and that was and I even asked the question about the 1% that the Hodor quote from Hodor's blog about the see, a lot of people don't realize this. You see a lot of things on Twitter now, and all we hear is about how everybody's supposed to be. They're not supposed to speculate. They're not supposed to hype. And the truth of the matter is, we're all here because we are speculating. There is no greater speculation than being in crypto and being on crypto Twitter and investing in digital assets. It is speculation. It is. We're all hyped up about the potential of this. So the idea of not, and what people don't remember is remember is that, like, back during and right after the bull run of 2007 or 2017 and then 2018, over time, from that time until today, because a lot of people have lost faith in what they own, they've become bitter and angry, and they don't think you're allowed to be optimistic anymore. Well, I think just the opposite. I don't think any different differently about what I own. I believe in XRP as much today, or more, actually more today, than I did in 2018 when the thing in January of 2018 when XRP went crazy. I believe in it. I know a lot more now than I did then about what I'm invested in. I believe in it a lot more. But I think it's important to look back. Even people like Hodor were extremely. What is more hypish than saying that he believes that 1%, the 1% of XRP holders, top 1%, could be the top 1% of the wealthiest people in the world? What's more hypey than that? Well, I love it because I think he was telling the truth then. And I'm not going to stop telling the truth now just because some people don't want us to, they don't think we should be allowed to be excited about our investment now just because we've been in a bear market for a long time. No, I'm very excited because I can see the excitement on Greg Kidd's face, and that guy's a billionaire and owns 1 billion, or has an option on 1 billion of the 100 billion. Why does he have an option on? Why does that guy have an option? That's $200 million right there. Why does that guy have an option on that much XRP unless he believes in this thing? There's no way he doesn't. No way. And he didn't get into how much. I should have asked him that, how much Ripple equity he owns. But I'll tell you what my gut tells me is that he might own more XRP than he does equity in terms of, or control more of a dollar amount. That's what I was thinking. So let's see. Tether feels like a scam. Tether has always felt kind of shifty. Well, maybe he said. He said the float, but he also said 1% of the currency, and so there is a little bit of a question mark there. He said 1% of the currency at one point, and I think he also may have said 1% of the float at one time too. So maybe that needs some clarification. 2025 to 2030. That's what the Everest document that I've shown said. Is everybody enjoying staring at my dresser? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about this dresser. This dresser was in my mother and father's bedroom when I was a kid. And my mother gave it to me just a few years ago. True story. I used to, as I recall, I used to hide things. You see that drawer at the bottom down there, the middle drawer? When I was a kid, I used to hide things in that thing. And I'm sure my parents hid things in there too. Yeah, I do need to pour me a drink. Thanks for mentioning it, Jay Grimm. It is a nice dresser. Old school. Yeah, keep it in the family. That's what they say. I do have guns there. I'm in the South, in the southern United States. Everybody has guns in this part of the country. It's not like an optional thing when you live in the South. And I don't say that for any kind of weird reasons. It's people around here bird hunt, and they do all kinds of things, and it's just what people do in this area of the country. It is the official dresser of the Digital Asset Investor channel. Vet is complicated. Can you explain? I did a call with a guy from Vet. I'm not going to try to. I'll tell you what I'll do, because Vet is complicated. But the gist of what I learned about Vet when I was on a call with a guy, in terms of how it works and why people would need to continue to buy it, is that there are companies that are going to be using VeChain, and then they have gas similar to Ethereum, and the way it was explained to me is that people are going to have to, these companies that are going to use the VeChain blockchain for whatever the supply chains and all that, they will have to continue to buy VeChain to get the gas that they need. And the gas, I think, was called something Thor or other, something like that. they have to keep buying the V chain to get the gas to, I think the gas pays for the transactions. It was something to that effect. But I'll do more of a more in-depth thing on that. Why is Brazil so important for Ripple? Well, Brazil, I mean, I see Brazil as just like any of these central banks that they're meeting with in any of these countries. It's kind of like, I mean, I feel like at any point, one of these central banks is going to be the smartest one or the gutsy one that goes first in using ODL. That's what I see every time I see one of these things like this come about. And it's a huge corridor. But every time I see one of these things come about, that's what I'm thinking. Is this going to be the one? Because at some point, somebody is going to pull the trigger. Feel like growing like a bonsai, like it's growing like a bonsai tree. Yeah. I was actually watching on YouTube TV the other day the new Karate Kid, the I don't know what they call it, the one where they're all grown up and now their kids have to fight and do karate and all that. I wouldn't be trying to learn karate. If I was going to get my kids to do something like that, it would be jujitsu, because I've watched enough UFC to know that the guys that wipe everybody out are the ones that crawl all over them like a boa constrictor and choke them with that jujitsu stuff. What do they call it? That Royce Gracie guy, he was old school. I remember watching that guy jump on top of some huge guy and just, manhandle him. H bar, bull or bear? H bar, bull. H bar, I'm telling you, look it up. Look up Hedera Hashgraph, go and start looking at the people that are invested in that company. And the tech itself is supposed to be more like blockchain, 3 or 4.0, and it's not blockchain, it's Hashgraph technology. It's just different. Douglas Lombard, thanks for making me believe again. Shoot. Look, it's easy for people to, yeah, Andy, great question. When dachshund, my wife, every time I bring up getting a dog, gets mad. She says, if we get a dog, I'm going to be the one cleaning up after him. And you guys, because she lives in a house with 3 boys, me and the 2 boys. So she knows that she will end up having to do all the work. When the truth is that if I got a dog, since I work from home, the dog is going to love me more than anybody and be sitting in my lap all day. And so I'll be the one that's most attached to the dog and taking care of the dog. But she thinks that she would be taking care of the dog all the time. And so she hasn't wanted one yet. But as I've said in the past, if Ripple or XRP hits $5 at that point, okay, I'm going to have to go or I'm going to get in trouble. So I hope everybody enjoys their weekend, and let me know if please hit that thumbs up button on your way out of here. I think that's supposed to be pretty good for this thing. And I'll start doing these live streams more often, and you can stare at my dresser more if you guys want me to. I'll try to, I don't ever do these things, but I'm happy to do them if it's something that you guys are into. So thanks for stopping by, and I will talk to you all later.